Hello.
Hello. So glad to have you here today.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yes. And for the listeners that don't know, Dr. Shannon Smith and I actually know each other from back in the day. Good old Grand Ledge.
Oh, the good old Palm days.
Good old pom pom days, yes. All right, so tell us about when you were an RN and what made you decide that you wanted to jump ship, basically.
I'm an LPN.
LPN.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I started with an accelerated LPN program because I was just going to use that as pretty much my foot in the door to the medical field because the goal was I wanted to be a surgeon. So I was just going to work as a nurse through medical school. And plans changed rather quickly as I started to see the reality of our medical model. Um, and after that, I decided that I was not going to give my money or my time any further to fueling that medical model. So I kind of floated around to different specialties and ended up landing in subacute rehab. And that's where I ended up staying for most of my nursing career. It was exciting. It was super intense, a lot of high acuity patients. I specialized in wound care, and that was really my passion. But something was always off. Um, we were very limited in what we were able to do for our patients. There was a lot of staffing shortages, a lot of working with less than what we needed, and definitely just getting by with the bare minimum of what our patients needed. And that was really hard to bear witness to. And so it was hard for me to go home and shut that off at the end of the day. So that carried on for quite a while. And I didn't really know what else to do because nursing was the highest paying job that I had ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really know what else to do without throwing away the lifestyle that I had created. And then COVID hit. And at that point, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
After I saw the things that I saw happening during that time, I ended up just walking away from my entire career, and I just winged it and figured it out. And I actually ended up moving back home to my parents, selling my home. Yeah, it was a very heavy time in my life, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took a lot to get me to that point, but I knew my moral compass, I couldn't stay in that field. So COVID opened a lot up. So
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on here. I've got a few other nurses that have DM'd me, but because they're still employed, they want to come on, but they're afraid.
Yes.
So to have someone who is an opportunity to not have to worry about being afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm still careful about what I say, just because there's honestly out of respect. I know that most of our medical professionals have the best intentions and a pure heart, and we all get into it because we want to help people. I don't know any medical professional that doesn't genuinely love and care about the people that they're taking care of.
Right.
However, the model that we have to operate inside of is not full of love for those people. It's profit over people, and it shows. And I don't think that there's any medical professionals out there that are in or out of the field at this time that would disagree with that. I think that's one of the main frustrations with most medical professionals is that we are so limited in the care that we want so badly to provide. But it wasn't until I got into natural health that I really started understanding just how limited we are and just how uneducated we are.
Yes.
And I've gotten a lot of people that have it's very common to hear, oh, you're just an LPN, or but unfortunately it's going back to school, actually, I just had this conversation with a really dear friend of mine who I graduated nursing school with. She did go back and get her RN, and I just talked to her last week, and she told me that she was floored when she went back to find out that there was only 6 nursing classes in her program to bridge from LPN to RN, and that it was literally 6 nursing classes, and everything else was elective or alternative. And that's what I had understood from several other people that I had talked to when I made the decision not to, because for a long time I honestly considered going back to get my RN just on the principle of respect.
Yeah.
And then I really had to sit and realize that that was ego,
Yeah.
and that I don't need anybody's respect
Mhm.
to know that what I'm doing is beneficial and helpful to the people that it serves and who it's meant to help. So um, that was a tough decision, but I truly never wanted to give any more money to that system. So yeah, LPN it is.
LPN it is.
And doctor, you know. So I got that now.
No big deal.
Yeah. It's still getting used to that. But yeah, it was actually kind of funny how things played out during COVID. I during that time I was on a lot of prescription medications. I had been on Adderall, um, very high dose of Adderall for several years. Um, and I was very, very mentally ill, and my lifestyle supported that mental illness in every way.
Yeah.
I was a nurse, so it was never uncommon for me to work 16+ hour shifts, 4, 5, 6 days a week. And so I wasn't eating properly. Every time I did eat, it was fast food, processed foods. If I ate, most of the time we don't even have time to go to the bathroom, let alone sit and have a meal. So I was living on coffee, chain smoking cigarettes, any 5-minute window that I got to step outside to kind of decompress. And then on my days off, I was usually crashing so hard from not taking my Adderall and being so burnt out that I would just sleep the entire day away. And if I had more than one day off in a row, the second day was usually, like most people, catching up on life and all that fun stuff. But it was not a healthy cycle. So I was taking Adderall to function basically during the day because I had no real nutrients in my body. And then I was on antidepressants. I was on sleeping pills. It was a cocktail of like this cycle to synthetics to wake up, synthetics to go to bed, synthetics to make me feel happy, which never worked. I struggled with suicide ideation for most of my teenage life into my young adulthood. So it got to a point where finally I was like, enough is enough. These antidepressants aren't working. Therapy wasn't working. I needed to help myself because the help that I was seeking was not sufficient. So I started dabbling in different areas. The first thing that kind of got my foot in the door was juicing. Was it Super Juice Me or something? It was a documentary.
Oh, yes, the documentary.
Yeah, I watched that and I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my god, minerals,
right?
Like you don't. How did we not know this in nursing school? Like, how?
Yeah, we're taught like all that juice is bad because of the sugar. Yeah. Love that.
Oh yeah, but we're fine to drink Gatorade and Body Armor and I heard some dude on the radio this morning talk about Red Bull instead of Celsius Heat because it's an approved drink for the MLB because I guess Celsius was making some of the drug tests come back positive for cocaine. Yeah.
What?
And then he was like, but Red Bull is on the approved list. And I just had to shut it off because I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, squirrel. So COVID, I started kind of just like dabbling in learning this and learning that. Well, I started juicing, and I was able to do that as a nurse. I could like prepare my juicing stuff and take it with me to work. And I did start feeling a little bit better, and I was so excited about it. Like I started telling everybody. Well, I was getting backlash for that from administration telling me like, you need to stop talking about the things you're talking about. Like, that's not your place. You're not a doctor. You should not be advising patients on, this kind of care, which I was just
Oh my
befuddled
God.
because I'm like, I took an oath to advocate for my patients, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm doing
Yeah.
from my own findings. Like, this is profound. Why aren't we talking about this? Like, I was so awe-inspired. And then I was so confused. Like, why is this being shut down? Only the doctors are supposed to help patients get off their medications. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I just put that in my back pocket and carried on,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Then I started getting into some other documentaries, and I ended up watching an interview with David Icke, and this
Oh,
was December. This was December of 2019 that
okay.
I saw this documentary, and he was referencing Event 201,
Mm,
where all of the head honchos from all over the world,
meat.
all of the different
Mm-hmm.
departments came together for a simulation
Yeah.
of if this SARS
Yeah.
virus were to cause a pandemic, how would we handle it?
Didn't they meet in New York City?
Um, Maybe I don't know where it was. I just know I watched the video of like the overview. It was on YouTube. Um, but it was the same day. It was the same day as the World Olympics in Wuhan,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
where all of the different military,
Yes. Military, like
yeah,
Olympics
they
or
were all there
whatever.
from all
Yeah.
over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And David Icke was explaining that this was exactly how this was going to play out. Watch the overview.
Mm-hmm.
First, it will be, masks and social distancing. Then it will be vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Then it will be, no mask, no entry, no vaccine, no entry. And it was like a 2.5 hour interview. And I just remembered, like, at the end of it, my brain like broke. And so I looked up Event 201. I looked into that. And it was bone chilling.
Yeah.
And so I just remember calling my family, just losing my absolute shit.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say that?
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
So yeah, I remember calling my dad specifically, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like I was freaking out, and he was like, calm down. he was like, just chill, like let this play out, blah blah blah. Well, then it started playing out,
Yeah.
and
Like a playbook.
literally
Mm-hmm.
just step by
Yeah.
step, exactly how he explained it. And so I was rocked to my core because I was watching it happen, especially in the nursing field. Well, then, so I want to say this was like March of 2020. This was after everything got like full blown in February. Um, that was when the CDC was kind of playing.
2 more weeks. 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
2 more weeks.
yeah,
Game.
slow the
Yeah.
spread. And then, and then, oh, hey, well, oh, actually, so at work, my aunt is, she is a nurse practitioner now. So at the time, she had reached out to me and was like, what are they having you wear N95s? Like, what are they doing? And I was like, no, like they haven't provided us with anything. And she was infuriated. So she
Mm-hmm.
sent me a whole pack to make sure that we were safe, because at this time we really didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And so, yeah, I wore an N95. Yeah. I gave it to all of my CNAs. I was called into the administration's office, and I was reprimanded for inciting fear.
Oh my goodness.
I was told that I was not allowed to wear that mask, and that I wasn't allowed to have the people on my unit doing that. I still did because I didn't know, and so then at that time, like maybe a week later, then the CDC came out and was like, everyone needs to have an
I was
N95.
gonna say,
And
wasn't it like
it
yeah.
was literally the next
Yeah.
week. And so I'm over here like,
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? So then we went from, okay, you need to have an N95 to, full PPE. So gown, mask, gloves, booties, like all of it. Well, then we had the PPE shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have enough. And so they were like, okay, well, now the CDC is saying that you can reuse your gear as long as it's not visibly
The science
soiled.
has changed just
Right,
in time,
right.
right?
And so quickly,
Yeah.
isn't it wild? And then it was now we can reuse our N95 mask, but you just put it in a paper bag
Oh.
and you can take it home with you.
Oh.
You wear that same one for a week, then you
Oh.
get a new one.
Oh.
Yep.
Does it last a month? Just a week, huh?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that works with an isolation unit.
Right.
But yeah, where I was at, we had so the nurses station was at the very middle of the hall. One half of the hall was, to the left, one was to the right. Um, they they made one half of the hall isolation and the other half non-isolation. Um, so yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah.
I'm sure the germs really paid attention to the dividing line.
Yeah.
Same with the curfew.
The sides of the hall to
Yeah,
stay on.
yeah, it knew.
Yeah.
It's a very intelligent virus, if I do say so
It
myself.
also knows that it won't attack you if you're walking to your table in a restaurant.
Right.
It'll wait till you sit down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I literally I was like, you can't make this shit up. So I was very vocal still, usually am. But I would go into administration and be like, what are we doing? Like,
Right.
this isn't safe. This is not right. And they just kept telling me, like, basically shut your mouth or else, pretty much. Because at this point, we still didn't really have the full picture. We didn't really know what was going on. But the CDC was coming out with all of these just wild, bizarre changes like daily. We literally had to like listen daily to what state was advising our administrators to, pass down the line, and basically, um, any given day, state could come in and and it was like, how are we supposed to pass these inspections when what we're being told is changing on a day-to-day basis? Like, you didn't know from one day to the next what the policy was going to be. And now that I look in from the outside, that the key word there is policy.
Yes.
Because these policies are what are killing people.
Yes.
And luckily, I was in a unit that, it wasn't. I didn't work in the hospitals, thank God. I don't think I'd last long.
Right.
But yeah, so it was just chaos. And then, if you came in, every time you came in, you had to get your temp taken. If you were elevated at all, sent right home. This was before they rolled out with the tests that, the CEO of
I remember that temp thing now.
Yeah. The swabs ended up coming out eventually, and the CEO of the company that created the PCR
was
test.
it Abbott that did it?
I don't remember. I just remember there being I read a full interview that he did. This was years ago, so honestly, I don't remember the specifics.
Wait, the guy who says that the PCR test should not be a diagnostic tool?
Because they don't test for that.
What's his name? Like Carrie something? It starts with a K, I feel like.
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest.
I can see his face right now. I just can't remember his name. But yeah.
Yeah, he stepped down from the company when all of this took off. And yeah, it was so I asked about that. They didn't like that either. So I was just asking a lot of questions. I was just asking questions because they knew damn well it did not make sense. None of this made sense. Yeah. And as medical professionals, like, I just didn't understand how so many just blindly accepted that these policies that went completely against everything that we had been taught.
And intuition.
Yeah. Well, and every time that we do training, like, we had to do it, I don't know if it was like quarterly or like we had to do so many trainings. Maybe it was once a year. I don't even remember, but it was always the training on infectious disease. Always. Like, it was something that we had to get recertified in every single time. And that was all about like the process of infection and how, an agent, finds a host, and that those transmissions, like, and and then everything changed because the CDC said so. People were wearing bandanas at one point, and I was just like, okay, we're a circus now. So yeah, the breaking point was when I started. This is when I started kind of tiptoeing down that rabbit hole of people talking about that they were finding graphene oxide in the swabs I had
Yes.
not had to test at that point because I had no symptoms or anything. But then it later, came out that not having symptoms was a symptom. And
Oh, that was always
just,
fun.
just all, I still, it's jokeable to me. And I'm not trying to downplay the fact that COVID did claim many lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not discrediting that for a second. The way that this was handled was disgusting. It
Yes.
was absolutely, it was an atrocity, and the medical field should be absolutely ashamed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I just, God, it feels like another lifetime ago, but I'll never forget.
Yeah.
So yeah, they rolled out this policy basically where they were saying that we were going to have to be tested every day when we came in for our shifts, and at that, I was just so, like, after all the threats for just asking simple questions,
Yeah.
knowing that they knew that what we were doing made no sense at all scientifically.
Mm-hmm.
I just laughed and I just handed them my keys back. And they were like, "Well, you can't do that." Oh, yes, I can.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't taken the floor yet, so I was like, figure it out. I quit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the last day I worked as a nurse. So that was back in June, end of May of 2020.
Wow.
So been a nurse for a decade, but I only got to work for like half of that. I
Yeah.
have kept my license current just in case.
Yeah.
Not that I will ever go back to work in the medical field, but in case some tragedy happens and they need extra hands, I
Yeah.
would like to be able to be on deck for that in the event that it's needed.
Yeah.
So I do keep my license current just in case, and you know,
Yeah.
don't plan on stepping foot into any medical establishments anytime soon, but happy to help where I'm able to when it
Yeah.
comes to my fellow people.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's if you don't mind us going down the COVID vaccine rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you mentioned graphene oxide
Mm-hmm.
is in the shots. I remember the Eyes Wide Open conference.
Yeah.
I think it was either Brian Artis or it was the other guy, whatever his name, and he was talking about their the other guy with global healing.
Ed Group.
Yes.
Yes.
He was talking about their ozonated activated charcoal,
Yes.
and how after 2 weeks it showed that the graphene oxide in the blood was completely cleared,
Yes.
almost completely cleared, just 2 weeks of using that supplement.
Well, him and Brian Artis and Judy Mikovits all collaborated together to create the foreign
Heroes.
protein cleanse. Yes, they're some of my idols.
Yeah.
I'm slightly in love with Edward Group, but
Well, you know I am with Brian Artis, so
that's
funny.
I'll just keep my girl crush over you. But yeah, no, so actually that is one of the protocols that I help some of my clients with. Not the foreign protein cleanse, that's an alternative. So there was a video that we watched at, it was a getaway with Dr. Baker, where she was talking about the graphene oxide and the nanotech, and how it compiles in the blood once it hits that temperature.
Yes, that's why the vials have to be so cold. Yes.
Well, and honestly, I mean, yes, it needs to be refrigerated to be stored,
right?
Because we always had to keep them in the fridge and make sure like we were doing a temp check every shift. So like that's standard for the vials anyway. But it was, you can't observe it, but like the way it operates while it's refrigerated, while it's being stored in that capacity. So once it's injected into the blood and it hits that heat, it starts to compile into like these, like little fibers.
Wow.
And the main ingredient in those fibers is graphene oxide, and it's basically what the nanotech is made out of. And metals are drawn to the brain because the brain contains the highest concentration of sulfur, and that's where metals are drawn to. So it'll go straight past the blood brain barrier and collect in the brain. And that's why we see so many neurological issues post vaccine, whether it's COVID vaccine or childhood vaccination, flu shots, whatever. They're all very high in aluminum, or some of them have mercury derivatives, especially the flu shots that they recommend that you get yearly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, or while you're pregnant, because it's
I fell
safe.
for that when I was pregnant with my son. I
No,
did.
oh
And then I was
no.
sick for 2 weeks after I got that flu
Thank
shot.
God he's healthy though.
Oh,
That's
he's,
such a
I
blessing.
know. I know.
Oh, that makes me so mad. I'm working on that because I know again most of these doctors they don't know. And I can attest to this because as a nurse, I gaslit a lot of people. I was kind of a dick. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was very on my high horse. I felt better than people. I thought I knew more than people because I had a medical background.
Your
I
credentials.
had
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had credentials. I
Yeah.
was really something.
Don't question
I was
me.
really
Yeah.
smart and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know jack shit. I didn't know what I didn't know. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have the doctor title and I still feel like I don't know anything because there's so much more to know.
Forever a student.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at least now I understand that.
Yes.
Like now it's like once you start learning what you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
if you realize how much you don't
Yeah.
know, and it's like but then the possibilities are endless. So you always have to be open to learning and like even everything that I think I know now. If somebody brought me study or something to look at, I'm not going to just balk at it. I'm going to look at it.
Right.
I want to know. And I'm going to
Yeah.
probably pick it apart with a fine tooth comb and be
Mm-hmm.
like, who wrote this?
Who
What's
funded
their
it?
background? Who
Mm-hmm.
paid for it? What special interests do
Mm-hmm.
they have? Is this bias? How
Who
did they
published
conduct
it?
this study?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was honestly one of the greatest classes that we took in our program at night is it was like learning how to read clinical studies. And it showed just it's insane how they can take like just one piece of a supplement or one like component from or constituent of a plant and test that instead of taking all of the working parts of a
When the
plant.
full
Yeah,
spectrum.
yeah.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
or individuals just randomized like
Mm-hmm.
okay, does this person have a history of, XYZ? Does this person, what is their diet? What is their lifestyle? What is their blood type? What is their constitution type? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things that will jurisdict how an outcome plays out when you're using plant medicine or, you know, oils or anything in the world. I mean, you can't streamline it. And that's where our medical model is broken. Well, one of the many areas it's broken, but you cannot streamline this. You cannot create protocols. Like you can try, you can have these studies and if it happens